It's, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, maybe we just say, do we really need to be, at the top of Google? I mean, I guess we want to be. And Terry, you alluded to some, them destroying themselves, but I don't see any search engine waiting in the wings to jump in. So I don't know what other search engine is, positioning themselves to overwhelm Google at this point.
There isn't that much a big a difference between Bing and Google. There's not that much of a difference, really. It's not like if you go to Bing, you find nothing. You'll find probably half the listings are in Google as well.
Well, true, but I mean, when I read what you wrote in the dojo yesterday, I read into it possibly that you were thinking there was a search engine, about to make, Google look tiny, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
No, you know what? It's a slippery slope. I've seen big search engines that fucking when Google coming around, Yahoo was dead in less than a year. Gone. Done. Finito. And they own 90% of search. So being there, seen it, and for the same reasons, you fuck around, people get tired, and they go elsewhere. Right, Steve?
Yeah, but then the question is, where do they go?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I already said Bing, right? Like,
Bing, Bing, okay, Bing.
right. There's more than one search engine. SEOs just only see one.
And they have such a tiny portion of market share. Did somebody
Hi,
else
Tim.
say something when I was
Hey,
And Josh and Bill.
good day, Josh. Hello, Tim.
Mr.
Hey,
B,
how's everybody? Yeah,
Hello.
howdy, howdy.
Yeah, Terry. Hey, man. One of the projects I'm right now is they've actually got Bing traffic. It's like what? Huh?
yeah, but you
And
know
it's
where
proportional. It's not one of those 2%ers. These guys are doing I don't know, a couple, maybe a mill or two a month. So.
yeah. Hey, Dave. Also, look in your direct referrals. Look back. How long ago was it when Bing stopped giving out keywords too?
Not a fucking clue, man.
Not long.
Yeah, it's within the last couple of months, Dave, because that
Yeah.
traffic
3 or 4
shifts
months.
over into your direct traffic. That's how GA monitors it. So if you want to see the real numbers, look at kind of what they were getting before they stopped providing keywords and see what you got afterwards. Might be getting even more than you think.
Yeah, it wasn't your typical low numbers, so I was like, consistent too. Anyways, yeah. Does Bing publicize their? Speaking of forensics, does Bing actually publicize many of their changes? Someone was asking me about Bing losses, and I've been doing Google fucking forensics for so long. I was like, where do I start?
Dave, it's on the equivalent of the back page of SEL.
Microsoft doing a big.
Well, I think Doc froze up on us.
They do put the upside down.
It's that taco internet.
Taco Internet. Taco Bell ISP.
Stealing her off the Wi-Fi around the corner.
Was it a shoe company? Somebody started hosting. We talked about that in the dojo too.
All right. Well, since we're talking forensics this week, let's go there and I'll do my best Steve impression this morning or this afternoon or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, what's just killing me lately is the access to the data, Terry. You know what I mean? Like I tell you, Terry. You and I used to talk to our friend there about that monitoring kind of program and doing stuff like that. And you have to almost. You can't scale back the crawl data and everything else. You've got 30 to 90 days of data at most, other than links and stuff. But Yeah, you've got 30 to 90 days, and that's it. You know, I mean, whoa, somebody's been alien out here.
Yeah, that is odd.
Anyway, so yeah, you know, I mean, I tried going back, and even the query data, forget it, 90 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're not literally not taking snapshots every month over time, someone comes in and do forensics, you're screwed. You know, the guy doing the forensics is fucked. Because, you know, all you've got is GA, and even that. Like I showed you yesterday, Terry, what was that, 0.23% sampling?
I think once you get over a certain point, GA becomes useless.
Yeah, at that scale, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Doc, it was 0.23 sampling percent.
Oh, no, I always found when I was when I was doing payday loan, I said, screw analytics. I just wrote my own stuff to capture refers and count stuff myself. It was a lot easier, and I got it real time. So, you know, when you're getting pounded at $5 a click and Google takes their time giving you the information, you need her real time.
Yeah.
Steve, does this ever get to be culpable, though? You know what I mean? Again, it's our favorite conversation of you penalize someone or dampen them or whatever, you know, because penalty. But when you know, if you're not giving the tools and the data to actually try and sort the problem out.
Google has an out in saying that no one has the right to be in their search engine.
Right.
And that's always going to be their big fallback point, which works great in the United States, but not so well in other countries. That's why you're seeing a lot more lawsuits happen in Europe than you're seeing here in the United States, because our government's already given them a free pass to pretty much do whatever they want to do. So legally, they do have an out by saying, you know, these results, you don't have to be here to be a success on the internet, and they can point to an awful lot of websites that don't do well in Google but make millions. So it's a trade-off.
And of course, Google is the second biggest lobbyist in the States.
Yes.
Yeah, I was looking at that graph recently, Josh. It was like here 10 years ago, and it's like, it's like, whoa.
Those young
job now. Boom. There you go.
Those young boys figured out politics real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that Eric Schmidt guy might have had something to do with that too, though.
No, they didn't do any lobbying until after they became public. Once they became public, that's when the lobbying started heavy.
Yeah.
Bill, you're asking about what the percentage sampling tolerance would be. How about 100? But again, you know, these kind of clients I'm talking about, they shouldn't even be on vanilla GA anyways. It's just, you know, I talked to the guy who referred the work to me yesterday, and I asked him about that, and I said, you know, what the fuck is wrong with these people? They're doing, you know, 1 million visitors a day from Google alone, you know what I mean? And they're on vanilla GA. I tried to pull the timeline back from 2011 to 2014. It just crapped out. I got a blank screen in GA. it just did its thinking thing, and then it was nothing. No graph, no anything. I was like, So.
That's the first thing I do too when I'm doing an analysis. Is I use Penguin, quite frankly, because it already drops in all the Panda and Penguin dates. But I pull it back to 2011 and see how many hits by Panda, how many hits by Penguin, you know, whatever else was going on in there. And that's where I start my analysis as well.
And that's the right thing to do. Terry and I started doing that a long time ago, and because somebody who's got nailed by something usually has a history of other things going on. You know what I mean? You start pulling it back, you'll see, oh, there's a little ding here nobody noticed, and a little ding here that no one noticed. And I think, Terry, didn't they say at one point that if you kind of ignore stuff that you'll get hit worse in the future?
Yeah. There are stuff in patents that says it is actually a quality signal for a website as well. So Panda. Josh, did you say Penguin?
Yeah, Penguin. Here, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, that's a really good site. I use it all the time. it has stuff before Panda too, eh? As far as what they write on the timeline, really useful stuff. Like when you're trying to see.
I think you should also cross-reference any of that kind of stuff with lists like, you know, Moz's or whatever. Because, yeah, you know, I even saw one recently, Terry. There was a little blip on the radar that I was, because, again, you know, you'll have big hits and you'll have little hits. And even if it's a 10% hit, I still look for those and mark them out. Terry, I actually this week saw my first one that someone lost about 10% to the page layout algo update.
I've seen you with.
Yeah, I haven't seen many of those.
Yeah, I've done one where we did that. That's basically what we did on Canada 1 too, eh? Remember we widened out the copy area so that it would bring all the content up higher because they were using 800 as a width, something like that. So when you expand it, you bring the content up. Lots of times we didn't even remove ads from that website and it improved.
Yeah, yeah, we also, you know, I've been getting tons and tons of Panda stuff from the May 19th fiasco, Black Monday. And again, yeah, Josh, you go back to 2011, almost to a site, these guys got hit by like Penguin 1, 1.1, and then nothing really over those other iterations. And then all of a sudden the May 19th one hit, and bam, it was like, you know, massive. Here,
Yeah. I also cross-list with Barry's site, so SE Roundtable. In fact, I have it bookmarked, and he'll release when there's a Panda monthly release as well. He doesn't know it's Panda, but when he sees a big uptick of people talking in the forums about stuff, and it's about a month since the last one, I guess, okay, it's Panda being released, right?
Yeah.
You see, Josh, for instance, when Dave and I were working with Search Metrics, they saw with their data an update they called the Pony update. It was actually the same kind of thing where metrics moved, but they didn't move on GA. It was probably something else. I watch every one of those weather stations. That's what I call them.
Yeah, weather reports.
Yeah, because I think they're all using slightly different sites in their seed, right? So their results, I think, get different ways. Like the Moz seems to be different than others, and I think it's what they're using in their sets, their record sets.
I think Dr. Pete also does a really good job as far as the stuff he's been collecting over there on Moz. Because even a few of the unnamed ones that he kind of picked up with their whatever Moz's, you know, weather report tool is, I've even seen some movement on some of those. So I like even where, you know, he's kept record of unnamed updates and things like that. Because yeah, I've seen movement around a couple of those too, which I, you know, yeah, you don't know what to do with them, but it's like, but you got a hit here. Anyways, sorry, the screen I have up now is just sort of, hi Miranda. By the way, so Miranda came in. Hi Miranda. So anyways, yeah, this is the kind of shit that could happen to you. So yeah, Josh, if you can see there, they went from about 1 million a day from Google down to about 420K. You know, that's more this May 19th stuff. Let's see the other one here. Yeah, that's another one from the 19th, going from about, I don't know, 500, half a mil a day down to about, I think it was, I don't know, 200,000. No, it's not that bad. But anyways, yeah, man, I've been seeing tons of these. Just stomped, man.
Yeah, and of course Google makes it more difficult for us by releasing algorithms at the same time. So for this particular client, you have to be very careful. The drop was on the 17th or the 19th, because the 17th was Payday Loans, whereas the 19th was Panda 4.
Yeah.
They grouped it like they're running together, eh, Josh?
They love doing that.
Well, that's the old smokescreen theory, right, Terry?
Yeah. They also have a tendency to run them on the weekend when SEOs aren't hanging off their analytics all day.
Yeah. Even when Matt Cutts said they wouldn't do that, they would never do that because there's no engineers around to fix it, blah, 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 blah. They
Oh, yeah.
always do that. Yeah.
Every Panda refresh was done on the weekend, if you look. The
Just about.
updates are done through the week.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a price to be paid for not paying attention. And again, you know, I am more and more getting into this whole sort of proactive kind of preventative maintenance and this kind of stuff. Like even audits now, you know what I mean? I've started to include, like, you know what I mean? What am I been calling them? Risk assessment. You know what I mean? Looking at link profiles, looking at content on the page, literally going over these sites with an eye towards, you know what I mean, various things.
Runs, David. Risk assessments out the window because everybody is going to get hit. That's my thinking, because the next Penguin's going to have guest posting in the algo of it, and who wasn't guest posting? In other words, if you're not did all your guest posting on top quality sites where expertise is very much in play.
Well, but doesn't that come down to the old analogy of the bear? It's like, you know what I mean? I don't have to outrun you, I just have to outrun the bear. So as long as everyone in your niche was doing it more than you were, you know, you should be all right. Here's my favorite one that was passed to me this week. You'll like this one, Terry. Okay, so yeah, what we got here, Terry, is unnatural links penalty, pure spam penalty,
All in one report.
thick content manual penalty, and a UGC manual. Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, just close the site down, man.
Yep.
Well, isn't pure spam, like, doesn't that cover everything below it? You would
Pretty
think
much.
so.
It's
They're
almost
just-
like they were just wanting to say you were very, very naughty.
Yeah, it looks like that pure spam
Well,
might
there
have
should
been
just be a message saying close up shop, start over. You know what I mean? Just a message you can go have ask until saying, "Dear sir, you are fucked."
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Isn't it, dude? I had never seen one that had that many
Well,
of that
kind
high
of
level.
gives you an idea, though, Dave, where you have to hit on the site. You have to look at the user-generated stuff. You have to look at the pure spam. Well, you can go to eBay for a shot at that.
Well, yeah, because pure spam is like, you know, on-site sneakiness from, you know, everything from fucking, you know, stuffing to fucking sneaky redirects, the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? So, yeah, whoever this person was, they just got totally destroyed.
Bad internal linking will probably get you that pure spam penalty, too.
Speaking of internal linking, does anyone think the Webmaster Tools reports are kind of just worked? The more I look at the internal links in those reports, I just don't believe them. I no longer trust them.
It's like they keep track of everything that was ever done.
Yeah, it could be. Like I said, you know, yeah, you know, the one guy we were seeing these ghost subdomains, meaning there was internal links from subdomains that no longer exist, and literally the owner of the site's like, I'll go check with my last developer from 4 years ago, but my current developer's been with me for 3 years and said, no, he never created them. So I talked to John Mueller, and he was like, well, let me know. I'll help you with it. And I was like, okay, because I never...
Right.
Yeah,
It's just
I don't buy
Just
that.
remember what Michael Gray. Just remember Michael Gray.
Oh yeah, well, you know, again, this is the site that we've already talked to Matt about and stuff. It's that same game
okay.
site, so he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind me talking to him about it. So, it's on the radar. But yeah, Steve, it's like those those links that come up in your link list that don't exist anymore. You know? So, this is some good data. Thank
It's
you.
on their radar, and I bet you that's what all the guys in the tower say when two planes collide. Yeah, it was on the radar. Now it's gone.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that guy, where's my? Is it this one? I think it's this one. Hold on.
So you couldn't even look very far back on this to really get an idea. Right.
Yeah. So this is what happens when you get hit with a panda. Okay, so it's about a 10% loss, and then 3 weeks later you relaunch your site and totally fuck it. That's what that looks like.
That's the panda fix.
Well, yeah, he was, he lost about 10% from about 40,000 a day down to about 32,000 a day, on average. And then he fucking relaunched his site, and he's down to like 16, 17 a day, 17,000.
One correctly?
Everything looks good. The 301s seem to be fine, because another thing you would see, in the case if you had fucked your 301s, there's usually two things you're going to see. You're going to see an increase in 404s in Webmaster Tools, and you're also going to see a change in the crawl. You know what I mean? Like the crawl stat data will also kind of peak up and start trending upwards, and those weren't happening. Spot checking any of the redirects, they all seem to be fine.
So somebody removed the navigation on the website, eh?
Right, that's the one that he tried. Him and his designer decided to make a cleaner website, and they kind of pooched all the internal navigation. So he's got I think he's got like 1,600,000 links coming to the site, and like 1.5 million of those are to the home page. So as soon as he went and screwed up the fucking navigation and everything, the equity was just kind of flatlined out, and I think that's the main cause of what happened with that guy. But it was just hilarious that he went and did this. It was before I really was on board or anything, for the most part, and he went and did this 3 weeks after the panda hit, right? So trying to forensically figure that out was just fun, because now you have to take, for the panda stuff, you got to take a 3-week data period to compare to before that. That's all you got to work with. And then for the other part, you've got, again, so such small time frames of data to work with makes it a forensic freaking nightmare, man. It's just like, oh my god. But yeah, we're pretty sure. I've been talking to Terry and some of the boys, and we're pretty sure it's the way he changed his internal architecture that screwed it.
Yeah.
So.
They can't find it. They can't index it. And even if you have a sitemap, they don't rush to index it.
They don't trust your sitemap unless it's been perfect every time they download it.
Yeah, that's why I test mine. Every time I load one, I test it on their server.
Another thing they have a bit of an issue with that might be kind of panda related is the tags. His authors are basically, there's no editorial standard set of tags that you can use or can't use. So the authors are just kind of creating tags on the fly. So for one example, a guy writes his article, puts 2 tags on it, which creates 2 pages. You go to those tag pages, and literally all that's there is that one article, and the rest of the page is just blank.
Oh boy, yeah.
And so each of those tag pages are now duplicates and thin content and pretty much useless. So yeah, I started saying to them, you got to have editorially approved tags, and that's it. I was talking with, I think it was Doc, you and I were talking about that earlier this week with that guy. But yeah, you got to watch for that.
Then you got some other clown that puts up his post and puts 6 tags on it.
Yeah, I never exposed the tags. I only exposed categories. That's it.
You need to never ever let your tags be indexed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Category, especially on an e-com, absolutely, but not tags.
Yeah, I usually go into hack the WordPress and remove where it writes out the tags, and if it's hard coded, remove it.
Don't get me started on WordPress.
I did that in OpenCard as well.
Now, so Steve, you would just no follow all the tags, or
No.
Yeah, no index.
no index? Yeah. Oh, so just the entire tag pages themselves, just meta them right out.
I would do the same for categories unless you have a strategic reason or a way that you're using categories. And again, it depends on your platform. But I wouldn't expose those, as Terry said, I wouldn't expose those either unless you really had a tactical reason to do so, and which means you're going to have to put some unique content on the category page itself.
What would be an example of a tactical reason for that?
Well, we do it on some WordPress sites where the category itself does really well. The category page for some blog posts does very well in organic search. But it's also serves the user purpose, right? A user wants to see other posts in that category. It's a featured element
of the blog. And so, but most of our clients don't use categories that way. So it needs to be part of the strategy kind of from up front for the and I'm just talking WordPress, but I think fundamentally it's applicable to whatever you're working with.
Yeah, I'd say pretty applicable to e-commerce sites as well.
I would watch the keyword stuffing too. I mean, some breadcrumbs for the categories are fine if it's just one or two, but I've seen sites where there's like 8 different keywords stuffed in there of subcategories and subcategories. And if you have the keyword stuff page already, that can really, I mean, Matt Cutts even directly mentioned that, John Mueller's directly mentioned that. So that's another reason why I hate these tag pages and category pages, because it can stuff in a bunch of keywords as well.
We generally on category pages try to make like the top third almost like a lander,
right?
With content and whatever, and then you've got whatever fills that category below it. Because, like you said, it's real common to have a category page outrank everything for a very specific search. So we want that to look as much like a lander as possible. So when somebody gets there, they don't just see a bunch of blog posts or just a seemingly random group of product.
For e-commerce pages too, Steve, it gives you a lot more text on the page, so you kind of even out your text to copy, your text to link text ratio. I don't like to see it too high. That's like a Panda thing for me.
Right.
Another thing I like to watch out for while we're talking about WordPress is, I don't know if you guys have noticed this or know a way to turn it off, is it will keep stuffing title attributes and alt attributes with keywords.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed this?
Title attributes and images. Useless as tits on a board.
It drives me crazy. I mean, every site I go to, these people just install WordPress and they install Yoast or all-in-one SEO package, and it will put whatever keywords they put at the top, it'll stuff in all the title and all the attributes. And John Mueller's directly said verbatim, get rid of these. This is keyword stuffing.
Well, you can set that up so that it won't do that, but the problem is that so many WordPress users don't know how to set up.
And this is another one of my big issues with the nice folks at the Google, is they're taking a tool and penalizing its default installation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which tool are you talking about, Steve?
WordPress.
So yeah, here, Josh. Same site. So yeah, there's your call data. Can you see where the site relaunched?
I see that for Panda too. I see sites that are hit by Panda. A lot of them have a big crawl influx right around the Panda date.
It's like they turned off something for a while to run Panda, and then they turn it back on after Panda comes back.
Well, it seems to me that, you know, it's too bad. Is Bill here? I can't see Bill down there, but it's like that Panda patent. A site, you know, if a site has X number of links, it needs Y number of brand searches. If it doesn't have that, it gets triggered for a quality check or a Panda check, and then they crawl the hell out of it and check the usage metrics and check various on-page factors, and then well, they'll either release it or penalize it. I've seen them do both.
Wow, when you talk, a separate picture comes on, Josh. Just notice, huh?
He's got a doppelganger.
Did you guys, did I break up there? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, throw it again. I kind of missed it.
So I have a couple of theories on how Panda is working these days. One, I wonder if that Panda patent that Bill Slosky mentioned, where if you have X number of backlinks, you should have Y number of brand searches in Google. I'm wondering if that is triggering. In the patent, it said that would trigger.
No, yeah. Again, that's more the Moz guy misunderstanding what Bill said, but.
So that's not how it works.
Yeah, no, that's not going to have any really correlation, to be honest with you.
Okay. So then, for the longest time, other than that, I was thinking the only sensible way to trigger a Panda check to determine what sites need it is usage metrics. Like, what else could you possibly use to determine whether you can't crawl every site on the web and run Panda against every site on the web. You have to limit down a list of the possibly bad sites and then run the on-page check to see if it has this or doesn't have the About Us page or those kinds of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there would be features, you know what I mean? Meaning pages with similar features to this algorithm and da-da-da. I think there's small hints when you look at, like, the manual thin content penalties. I think there's small hints in there. I think there's small hints when they talk about page quality in the Raiders Guide and stuff like that, and usability. You know, so I don't think, again, that you can really, you know, if Panda was running on the fly, maybe we're talking about some user metrics. But the fact that it's a refresh, the fact that it's rolling on top of the index, I have doubts that they would be based on any kind of user data as far as picking out the sites. It's more about crawling sites. And again, this, you know, these people that I'm seeing these massive bloody hits from this time around, you know, they got tagged back in 2011 with Panda 1 1.1, but have seemingly been fine ever since, meaning stable. You know what I mean? They haven't been losing more traffic. So, you know, I get there's some sort of sense that whatever they've done is they've tweaked the dials on it. You know, Terry and I were even joking that, you know, God forbid Aaron Wall's out there somewhere, but, you know, the whole brand bias thing. But it almost looks, you know what I mean, Steve, it almost looks like some of these sites were getting a pass, and then they're not anymore. That maybe some kind of authority scoring might have been keeping them in the mix, and that was taken away.
I mean, if it were me and I were Google, this is how I usually judge things. If I were Google, I would look at my results and say, these sites are expected to be in these searches, no matter what. And so those sites will automatically get some kind of a boost, regardless of whatever else they do. They automatically get a boost because you expect to see that site when you search for.
Oh yeah, I remember the big BMW one, whatever that was, 07 or something like that. And even when I was talking to Matt back then about it, you know, he basically said that his users expect when they put BMW in that it shows up. You know, he'd love to spank them harder, but you know, Amit Singhal and the guys in the search quality team are going, I mean, sorry, Matt.
Also, David, Google's engine now runs on entities, so it would be, you know, it knows that entity. It'd be hard to not show it, I think.
Yeah, the BMW search for BMW might be a problem.
Which brings up an interesting question too, Terry. Is just, you know, is it entirely possible? I think that there are at least two ways in which they look at it. They look at the page or the domain, and they also look at the entity independently. So the page may be getting slapped, but the entity as a brand is not. So it's still, it needs to be there. You know, like Dave says, you know, if somebody puts in BMW in the search box, they expect to see BMW show up.
Yeah, there's, well, when we looked at it, Dave, we kind of decided, right, that it was like you have a quality score for your site, and then you have basically a score for pages that they may be dampened even more because they're thin content. But I think if that when you've got enough of these bad things with Panda, it actually affects the whole site. Seems to be the way it is. And once a page is being affected with Panda, it basically doesn't pass anything to any other page. Or I'll be surprised if it actually passes PageRank or any kind of link equity, because from what I see, it's like they put up a stop sign, and it's like if that those pages were only linked to from that Panda affected page, they're not even going to index the pages deeper. It seems to be what's happened.
Here's one for y'all. Josh, I know the boys I've showed this to over the last week in the dojo and stuff, but since you're here, I'll show you, Josh. Okay, so one of the clients I have is a competitor of Answers.com and Yahoo Answers. Okay, so it's a Q&A space. Again, they're doing, I don't know, upwards of about 8 million Google refers a month kind of thing. But so one of the competitors is Answers.com, who have apparently, if you trust search metrics and SEM data, SEM rush data and stuff like that, Seemingly, these guys have also been caught up in this May 19th thing in the Q&A space. See any problems here, boys? Gee, I don't know. Look, here's an ad. Oh, yeah. What's this? Oh, that's an ad.
No
Oh, what's this?
content
This is an ad.
old at all. That might
Terry. And, of course, the famous E-How one right here, man. Right underneath the question, another fucking ad. And I think this is the one that's burning people.
Yeah, the in content. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like an in-contextual space one. Because, again, I think, just randomly, I think it was because Bill was talking about Forbes this week. I decided to take a look at Forbes a little closer, and their fucking visibility has been growing. They must have had a penalty or something, because they've been shooting up like crazy last few months, and they've got these top ads. So, I'm still seeing sites that didn't get nailed by the May 19th that have ads like this one, this banner. So I think it's got to be these in contextual ones here that are causing the issue. Oh, and I'm hearing, sorry, I got to close this page, boys, because they've got an auto-playing fucking ad over here. Oh, you son of a...
Everybody loves it.
I wouldn't be surprised, Dave. I mean, first off, everything above the fold is an ad. One, that's against Panda 4. Two, the in-context ad was directly mentioned in the quality raters guideline as a low quality ad.
If it interferes with the main content, exactly, and I think that does. Like I showed it to my wife while I was doing the work on it last week, and she was like, "I fucking hate sites that do that," because I click on those thinking, it's going to take me to actual content. So yeah, I think that those might be an issue, and Terry, I think that's what E-How originally did back with Panda 1 and 1.1 is they took out those in-context ads and they had some recovery, didn't they?
Bang, they started recovering.
Well, when we did, so some of the people here don't know, Dave and I did kind of an informal talk with 4 or 5 other people from the dojo that were running pretty big sites. One of them was E-How that were hit by Panda. They basically told us that ads were definitely a part of it. The other thing is ads are not just part of the Panda algorithm. There's also the top heavy algorithm, which is a very bad name for it because it actually isn't just ads that will cause these things. Any content that you put above that pushes your content below the fold is problematic. I don't care what it is. You can't look at and say this is like this slider is okay. What you have to decide and figure out is whether that slider is used enough and is giving enough navigation that it's worth pushing your content down the way that they do. I've seen sites go up or kind of start to move out of Panda just by moving content up the page, didn't remove a single ad, didn't do anything but widen the area, bringing the content up that way. I don't believe it has all that much to do with that. Secondly, Stone Temple, Eric Ng, did a interview with one of the gentlemen from Google who worked on the machine learning, and when he talked about Panda, he talked about content above the fold. He did not mention ads once.
I'm just going to run through a handful of questions here in the Q&A just to get them done. Dan Manhan's asking, how does Terry know that the next Penguin will have guest posting? Because Terry's a fucking genius there, Dan.
Because they've said, don't do it.
Anyways, Dan, to be honest with you, Dan, we say that because it actually got hit in the last one.
Got a fork stuck in it.
Yeah, well, before that was January. So last October when the last Penguin ran, a friend of ours that manages SEO for a company that has, I think, about 16 different country URLs and about 300 localized dealer websites, so large. And on one of their, I think it was the Co UK, wasn't it, Terry? Yes, with our famous friend,
Oh, okay. Now I know
Yeah.
the one you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, Dan, in that instance, we actually looked, and over the time they were guest posting to the Co-UK, the rankings were going up, up, up. Then Penguin hit, boom, dropped down. It was lower than it was before. So yeah, we're pretty sure guest posting was actually already in the last Penguin.
Okay.
So.
Here's the difference, though. In my opinion, before they were hitting these guest posts because of the types of sites they were on. Now they're going to be hitting them just because they have links from the authors, in context links to the author's site from the content of the guest post. Google has definitely said that case they want that to stop. I'm pretty sure that will be in Penguin, and it hasn't been in the.
And I think the whole question, I want to just at least, sorry, Steve, I'll come right back to you, buddy. I just want to give a little love to Josh while he's here, because when he said that Penguin wasn't running because of negative SEO issues, we all kind of laughed. But we're pretty sure that that's got something to do with it at this point. That's why we have not seen it. Anyways, go ahead, Steve.
I'm just saying, you know, I'm doing 10 years worth of content publication across the entire internet will be entertaining to watch.
Yes, agreed. I also think Google is afraid of getting their ass suit off if it's too big.
Yep. That
Another. Go
I
ahead.
can confirm that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That also from that same discussion, Josh?
Yeah.
That's good.
Just in answer to Dan's question there, I mean, we don't really know exactly what Google is going to target, but we know for sure that if it's a popular spam method that everyone is talking about and that everyone is using, that's what Google's going after. I mean, you know, whatever they're talking about in the Black Hat forums or on Warrior forums, that's the first thing that Google's going to go after. And so there's so many ways they can find guest blog posts: the type of the site, the anchor text, the author snippet, as Terry mentioned, or any combination thereof, right? They're going to use a bunch of signals to confirm each other. And so
and location is a huge part of it, you know. Yeah. It was maybe 2 years ago, year and a half ago, one of our dojo members, a fairly good large site brand, you know, he came to us and he was like, you know, I'm at my wit's end. Can you ask Matt about this? And so I talked to Matt. Remember, Terry? He was like, you know, oh, this site. That was the first thing in the email. As Matt goes, oh, this site. It was like, oh, this isn't going to go well. I remember talking to Boykin about this back in 06. It's like, oh, you're great. So Boykin was on the job. That's not helping us either. But he went on to talk about the types of sites that were getting used. So the instance, what had happened, Josh, was the guy had given out product to a bunch of mommy bloggers, right? He didn't ask for links or anything else. You know what I mean? He thought he was doing the right thing. But, you know, mommy bloggers being what they were, they linked back to the site with the, you know, the transactional keyword that was probably wanted and da-da-da. And, you know, Matt even said about that, he said, you know, look at this site, and look at this site, and look at this site. And he said, you know, these are suspect sites to us because one post is about duct tape, the next post is about brownies or something, you know what I mean, that they're topically all over the place and that they're suspect in our eyes. So location, location, location. You know, you're publishing on the Huffington Post is going to be a little different than you publishing on somewhere, you know what I mean, some mommy blog that Google's not entirely thrilled about the reputation of it, you know.
Yep.
Dave, that's also why we decided when we started working with Disavow that it was a waste of time to disavow pages. You might as well just disavow sites and make your decisions at that level.
That's yeah, and I totally agree with that. Yeah, you know what I mean. If you know, especially if it's got a .cn domain or something like that, you know.
.co, that's my favorite now.
I have never, to this date, I have never disavowed a URL. Always domain level.
Yeah, agreed. You know, like Blogspot goes in there. Blogspot could pretty much go on every list.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is after you've done a few, I just wrote something that says, oh, you see Blogspot goes into a category. See Tumblr, it goes into a category. See the usual suspects for UGC into a category. See forum in it into a category. You know, you can really go through like a site's link profile pretty quickly because a lot of information contained right in the URLs. You just got to parse them.
Yep.
Let's see.
Excuse me, William. If I piss on the floor, I expect to clean it up. I don't expect my mommy to come after me and clean up my mess.
Well said, sir. You know, I'm just sitting back, just in the comment stream here, but you know,
I just saw that one.
I still respect you guys 100%. I'm just making a comment in the chat that basically there's a lot of companies out there still doing everything you guys have talked about, and they're making money from these innocent clients, and it's really getting ridiculous.
Okay, but again, the old excuse of it's working for so and so is not fucking smart. Again, I was showing earlier screenshots of some people that thought that they were getting away with stuff, and now, you know what I mean, they're down 500,000 visitors a day. Now, if you want to roll the dice and play around with that kind of shit, you go right ahead. And to their credit, the one CEO of one of the companies basically said, "Well, it was a good ride with those ads. I guess we'll have to move them now." You know, he literally, you know, and that spoke volumes that the guy even knew it probably wasn't a good, that it was a bit of a risky approach and what have you. You know, and which I guess.
I agree with you 100%, Dave. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think that, you know, basically the clients of those agencies out there that are still doing tactics to day one that we know is hurting clients, but the clients don't know that that's hurting them because they've been, you know, brain freezed, I guess you could say, into thinking a certain way based off the way they've been taught.
It's all about risk mitigation, and I think what this hangout is about. Where, you know, it's I agree with Dave. It's a bad argument. You know, I get people daily emailing me wanting me to do competitive analysis on how this company or this company is getting away with something. And I told them, I said, forget it. Forget, you know, one, I can only see 50% of what Google is using. Two, just make your own, you know, do whatever you can to improve your own site. See if you've been hit by Panda. See if you've been hit by Penguin. You know, those kinds of things. And let's build up your link requirement as opposed to worrying about what these other guys are doing. Because I think
can I add something? You mentioned link requirement. And there's a lot of times we talk about link requirement. And Josh, I just want you to talk about link requirement just quickly. What is that and why is it important? And is it still existent today?
Well, sorry, what I said is link acquirement. So working on whatever strategy they can to generate buzz, to get, you know, links, link bait, link, whatever which way they can get links that's best for their particular business. So that's all I was talking about there.
Gotcha, cool. You know me. I'm gonna pick on you.
Yeah.
You can pick on me. That's no problem.
Josh has been picked on before. No cherry there.
Once or twice.
Oh, 3 times a charm, dude.
I don't have favorites. I just fuck with everybody.
There you go.
I've learned from the best right there.
And again, you want to be proactive. You want to be ahead of things. We used to call it future-proofing or whatever, but you know what I mean? It didn't take a genius with, like, let's use the gas posting thing. It didn't take a fucking genius to see that one coming. You know what I mean? Like, again, like Josh was saying earlier, is if they're writing about it on all the blogs and this is the greatest way to build links these days, well, you know, you might not want to go running in that direction.
But
you know?
Dave,
look at those lemmings go. Let's go see where they're headed. Sure,
that's what
like
I've never understood. Okay. Is like
Lemmings. I used to play that game on Amiga.
People, you know, forever. Well, it's working for them. Well, it works till it don't, and when it don't, it's messy. The thing is once it's written about, it's dead. Like 6 months from now. That's why I never understood how article marketing kept working. Because I looked at it, I said, well, most of this is spam. Like, why does it work? I guess it worked till it didn't.
It's all about the thresholds, right? People are still doing guest blog posting. It's all about the thresholds. It's the type of site you post on, what other link outs they have, how spammy they are, and then your exact anchor text pointing to you. It's all ratios.
Yeah, but explain then why when Panda hit, a lot of people got hit. If it's about ratios, people would be hit in varying degrees.
True, and I have seen people being hit in varying degrees for Panda, although most Panda hits are a waterfall effect. But I mean,
but
then we're talking apples and oranges, right? The linking stuff would be more payday loans, Penguin, manual penalty, and then there's Panda stuff. Although I'm wondering these days if Panda doesn't have an off-page component as well.
Probably
Hey, Dave.
does. Everything with Google has an off-page component.
So Dave or Terry, based on some recent forensic stuff that you've done and looking at sites, what are some things that you wish the designers or developers had done differently in building the site to make the work easier? So I'm not talking about any SEO tactics.
Okay. Let's go back to the Q&A site I'm working with. Another one of their problems that we think is happening with them, and interesting enough was in the Raiders Guide and stuff like that, was about sort of thin, dead pages. So in the case of a Q&A site, and they actually use Q&A sites as an example in the Raiders Guide, and they said basically a page that has a question on it but doesn't have an answer should be given a low page quality score. So, these guys have an issue with that. One of the things we talked to them about was more hoops to jump through before they let the UGC the user create a page. Meaning, search the database and go, well, your question's kind of like this one. You sure you don't want to just go read this answer? Because people are egotistical. They don't, want to read the answer that they want to. I want to post my question and get my personal answer, which it's not going to help them on the search engine level. So they need to deal with that. The second thing that these guys were doing is, yes, they were culling those kind of thin, dead pages. Problem is they were 404ing them instead of 410ing them. So, dude, they have 70. You ready, Josh? They've got 77 million 404s in Webmaster Tools. It was like a new all-time record for me. So, but yeah, they in that kind of instance, from a developer perspective, they should be 410ing those, meaning Google finds them once and does not come back.
Right.
From them being just bad usability to eating up crawl budget and a myriad of other reasons why you wouldn't want to do that, that's something on the developer side. I was like, well, from now on, when you guys go and call the system, let's 410 those. So Google comes once, says, okay, never come back, instead of constantly coming back and to see if those pages will come back because it was like a server issue or something like that. So, that's something that's on a developer level that I think could be a bit of a Panda issue along the way.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. Anyway, guys, I got to run. Thanks for letting me sit in.
Pleasure as always, man. Have a good day.
Later, Josh.
See you later, Josh.
Dave, but if I'll give you an example of the kind of thing I was thinking about. You've got clients who maybe built the content on their site. The architecture is all flat, right? So in analytics, identifying a whole subfolder of content to see maybe if there was, rather than all of the organic landing pages, being able to more easily identify a segment. Maybe it was a whole image gallery, or right. But if everything is just domain title, and then being able to maybe manage the sitemaps a little differently as well. When Google Webmaster Tools, when you've got these separate sitemaps, it's easier to try to work backwards to the problem source.
Not sure, Bill. Have to show me, and I could. Do we think that the flat system or flat architecture is a problem?
Well, what I'm saying is it a factor in any of the work that you're doing? If you could have gotten the developers to follow a different...
well, definitely hurts the SEO, right? Not having a keyword for the category that those pages are in is probably hurting the SEO.
All right, Tim, have a good day, man.
Later, Tim.
Keep up the good fight.
Later, Tim.
But yeah, there's
See you later.
there's always technical stuff. Look at the conversation we had with tags and things of that earlier, which are essentially hub pages that kind of go nowhere. Tags are an issue architecturally, structurally that can be a problem. You know what I mean? So there's always stuff on the developer side of things, but these are all decisions people are making on how they put things together on the site, right? So Terry, let's see, we got a question here, and I'm going to go grab a drink. So, what is proactive and or preventative SEO for forensics?
Well, the proactive is going to Google each month and getting the links that are in your new links, fresh links on GWT, and then going and making sure that they're all clean. I think you should monitor your links more than we have in the past. That would be the proactive part. Preventative, disavow whole sites would be the main thing, I think. And, that's about it. Prevent negative SEO. It's mainly about monitoring. So if you monitor your stuff, you know what's happening with it. You know when you're getting these bad links from places.
Yeah.
You know what percentage of them come in, but you never know when all of them come in.
Right.
Yeah,
if you're getting 10,000 a month, you're kind of snagged because they'll only show you 1,000. That's your point, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That'd been interesting.
Or even the freshness of it. They call them fresh links and whatever. And as Steve knows, you can find stuff in there that's dead and been gone for years, and apparently it's still.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, it's still fresh links according to Google.
and how do you find fresh links that are newly created? I mean,
you don't, man. Literally, you don't. I talked to the guys in Majestic, everyone else, and even their system doesn't work like that. Their fresh index means they crawled it recently and it still exists. You know what I mean? Like that one instance where the guy was getting some negative SEO attempts on his site. It was to the tune of 120,000 links, but in a profile that had 1.6 million. I talked to the tech guys over at Majestic and had them trying to help me with the issue, and they came back with 1 million still. And I was like, well, that's not fresh. No, that just... Well, yeah, that's kind of how our system works, though. Our fresh index means we've crawled them recently and they still exist. And I was like, well, that's helpful. So, and there really isn't... I don't think there is a way.
I think isn't it Open Site Explorer that has a recently discovered links? But even then, it could be a link that's been in existence for 2 years, and they just happen to come across it.
But exactly. Yeah. So I'm not sure if there really is a way. But I guess that goes back to the question about preventative, proactive. It's that kind of stuff too. Like, are you watching link profiles? Are you looking for anomalies? Again, I don't know if there's a really good way. According to the guys at Link Risk, once you're hooked up and they do an initial crawl and then you import new data, they can at least sort of tell you that way. But again, Steve, as I said, that's $500 a month just for link risk service, right? And then let's say you've got 2,000 or 3,000 new links every month. You got to have some monkey crawling through those to make sure which ones are good, which ones are shit. If you're going to proactive disavow or something along that line, And so yeah, there's another $1,000 a month. So you're looking at $15,000 to $20,000 a year just to monitor shit on that scale. And why? Because Google wants to penalize people. So new argument altogether, but. Not a fan.
I mean, even though I don't think it will carry any standing, and I don't think it'll ever go all the way through, I've heard of at least 4 different lawyers / groups of lawyers filing discovery requests in preparation for class action lawsuit.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I mean, they can file it.
Oh, sure.
We don't know how it'll, you just don't know. But the fact that we're starting to hear about it openly.
That'd be good
makes-
link bait for an attorney website. If you were into that area of law.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but unless the U.S. does something similar, I think Steve, you mentioned it earlier, but precedent setting going on in Europe, unless they determine that Google is actually a utility.
Yeah.
Screw you, build your own search engine if you don't like it.
The problem, I can argue either side of this either way, but when your company name becomes a verb,
Yeah,
you have a certain responsibility, I think, to the world in general, because you're going to see whole generations of people who don't know anything other than Google.
well, we all hear the
Is
half
anybody
tongue-in-cheek
hearing?
comments about my client. There's some client that what browser are you using? Oh, Google. Or where did you see that information? On the Google. They think that Google and Internet are synonymous.
We went through the same thing with AOL.
Yep.
You try to get people. You mean it's on AOL? No, it's on the Internet. AOL is just a little part of the. You mean it's on AOL? No.
I don't think that Google has any type of a responsibility towards the world. It's a private company. As long as they don't harm anybody, that's it.
Well, but they are, Mike.
But they are causing harm.
Yeah, but if they are, then you bring them to court. That's it.
But I don't know. Steve said off the top that you also run into that problem where I think at the end of the day, can't they just say then opt out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not paying for the service. You're not paying for their service, and I think isn't that where a lot of litigation comes down to? You paid them to give you traffic, so.
Up until Google came along, the world was opt-in.
They scrape content, right? That's basically what they do, and everything they do, even when they're counting links, that's based on other people's work, right? That's theft. That's a problem, right? And their answer is, of course, oh, but you can put no index on your page, which is, of course, bullshit. That's basically means if you don't lock your door, anybody is allowed to walk in. That's just not true. So there they are actually committing a crime. They're scraping other people's content, right? So if that were the issue, if somebody were to take them to court for that, that would be justified. But to say that they have some kind of a moral responsibility just because everybody uses Google or it became a verb, I don't know. That's a little bit too alternative for me.
I didn't say they had a moral responsibility, but I think they do have an obligation, since they have placed themselves in a position of being the arbiter of good taste on the internet, starting with their original company motto, do no evil, or don't be evil, or whatever the hell it was. And they consistently go on and on about cleaning things up. So they've intentionally put themselves in that position. It's sort of like, saying you want to be a teacher and teach, and then one day you decide you want to be an asshole. You don't get to do that. I mean, you do, but you have to understand the repercussions that are going to come with that. I just, when you compare with Google's, if you don't like it, opt-out policy, can you imagine the outrage if somebody did that with email? Well, if you don't want to get my email, just click this button and opt out.
What you mean with email?
That's kind of a category error there, but I see what you're saying.
Well, what it says, you have to opt into a newsletter list. People can't just put you on a list and tell you to opt out, right?
Well, they certainly do.
It doesn't work like that.
So. They certainly do, but Google changed the paradigm. Up until Google came along and started just taking everything they wanted, the internet was it was opt-in. If you wanted something, you had to go get it. Google changed that and said, we're going to take this, and if you don't want us to, you need to stop us.
Yeah, and that's wrong. So based on that, the fact that they scrape, the fact that everything they do is based on other people's work, yeah, right? I mean, if they go around the internet and count links, whatever they do, it's all based on other people's work. That's theft. You could take them on that, right? You could bring them to court and, well, probably lose because they got a few billion to throw at it. But I mean, that would be justified. But just to put some responsibility upon a private company, no, I don't believe in that. I mean, on the other side, how I see it is that I make my money from their mistakes. I don't think that what I do is very moral, you know. I mean, it's true, right? I mean, I made a lot of money doing something silly as directory submissions, right? And 99% of these directory submissions existed only to manipulate Google's rankings, right? So how clean are we? I don't know. I mean, I don't see any problem with that because, again, I'm not actually hurting anybody. All the links I create are not on Google's website. They are other websites. They take the decision to count those links, right? So I don't think I'm actually doing something wrong. But, well, they are. But, I mean, I don't think, I mean, the point is that many people go, oh, SEO is bad because of this, and I don't agree with that. It's just a game we play, and I like to think that we are better at it than they are, you know? Because we do stuff they don't want to. I mean, how I see it is that they run behind us. I don't follow Google. They try to catch up with us, right? Because whenever the company I work for, whenever they go up in the rankings, that's because of what I did, not because they took a set of decisions, right? They try to counter it with a new update, but then I'll do something else. You know, I mean, I don't know. I just don't believe that companies have a moral obligation towards society. As long as they don't hurt anybody or steal, then I don't see any problem.
Well,
but they do steal. That's a problem.
Well, and they do hurt people.
If that were the issue, I can talk about that.
And they hurt businesses. They put family businesses under every day, you know, by the way they do things. So there's an emotional aspect.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Those family businesses lost their rankings due to the actions of their SEO guy.
Sometimes.
I mean, do they consciously do something to hurt these businesses? No.
Well,
I mean,
how about an instance where Google actively promoted guest posting a couple of years ago, and then started talking against guest posting because it was being abused? Now, you know, some web owner, a site owner who is not conversant in all the changes and doesn't follow Google closely, he heard this video, sounded like sound advice. Matt Cutts, the Google spokesperson, supposedly said it, so he starts doing guest posting. And he stopped doing it 2 years ago. Now, his business gets hammered. He loses 75% of his traffic overnight because of shit that he did 2.5, 3 years ago at the recommendation of Google. You know, to me, I do think Google has responsibility for that.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
Well, and especially, again, you know, Steve and I have talked about this a few times, but especially when you're going to start using those links from 6 years ago against someone. You know what I mean? Like, this is, you know, you can't do a 180 on something and then penalize someone for something that they did back then.
At least have a statute of limitations on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're going to get hammered, you know?
But last time when Matt Cutts came out quite angry about blog posts, and he was kind of going off to people who accept blog posts, right? I just laughed. I think like, after all these years, they still can't figure it out how to fix it on the inside, so they come out angry and frustrated. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, my company is doing good. Maybe those small businesses should have hired me instead, you know?
Well, then of course we have the specter of negative SEO, which is another bag of fucking worms.
Which they opened the door to many times.
Look, how I see it is that from the beginning, Google has made a big mistake by exterminating the concept of link exchange instead of fighting the abuse, right? It took them. That's when they opened the doors for all the other SEO tactics, and they just keep repeating that mistake. Now it is blog posts. It's the same thing. They just keep. They can't. I don't know. Sorry, but I don't really think that the Google guys are really good at SEO. I mean, you just keep making lots of mistakes, and my job is to abuse those mistakes. That's how I see it. No?
Well, that's an appropriate tension for the market.
I would probably be more inclined to say take advantage of those mistakes rather than abuse them. But
No, I consciously abuse them. I just don't lie about it. I don't see the problem, because why they scrape my content? So fuck them. Really? Serious. Yeah, you go into Google, and what you see there is your content. Did they ever ask for any type of a permission? No, they didn't. That's scraping. That's theft. That's wrong, and that's why I don't mind. That's why I actually enjoy playing games with them.
According from their perspective, you left it open to the public. We just followed some link you put somewhere back to your content, and we're just letting people know about it. We're not stealing it.
That's the link. That's different.
You put it out there to be public. It's not like they're logging into a privately protected space and then publishing things like on the dojo.
No.
They're merely publishing and letting people know about stuff that you've already put out there. So.
No. You cannot. No, it's not. You cannot take somebody else's content and put it on your website. Whenever they put my title and my meta description,
well, that's simple. Then if you don't want them to public
work.
If you don't want them, then they have a robots directive for that.
Yep.
But no. That's like they're saying, like, hey, if you don't lock your door, I'm allowed to.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Your house. That's not how it works. Even if you leave the door wide open, you still have to. You still have to respect other people's private property. I mean, no, look, I understand you guys are upset with Google, but I'm not. I mean, I'm not really.
Well, I'm not terribly upset with Google personally.
I do forensics. I love Google. They keep me. They're helping pay for my new house. So.
Yeah, the majority of what they're doing I like, and they don't cause me a major problem. In fact, the way that they're doing business the last couple of years has brought me a tremendous amount of business because I do a lot of forensic work. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's right. The fact that I'm able to take advantage of that doesn't necessarily make what they're doing and the way that they're doing it especially right. There's better ways to do it, and I'm not an engineer that's able to say this would be the best way to do it. I don't have that answer. But simply looking at the thousands of quote-unquote innocent sites that got wiped out.
I got a great way for them to do it, Doc. Let's look at the old excuse with talking to Matt as far as we don't want to give too much information because the spammers will use it. Well, what exactly is there about Panda? That is
that a spammer
being,
can use. Yeah.
Right. What is wrong with being transparent about certain Panda issues, like in context ads or things of that nature? Yeah. What about that? Can't they really talk about? I don't know. Why can't they just say, "Hey, this is something will get you hit by Panda. Have a nice day. Don't do it."
Well, even to a great extent, David, even Penguin, they could be a lot more transparent about links, sure. But yes,
but
people
I get the argument that they have been, not very fair, kind of, or what's the word I'm looking?
Callous.
Sympathetic to these people, because yes, a lot of people lost their business or their traffic, usually because they just hired the wrong SEO guys, right? And I understand to be upset with it, but I don't think it's that they should change or that they're not allowed to do it. It's still a private property.
Again, like I said, I'm not even talking link building. I'm talking about on-site stuff that Panda might hit. I don't see any reason not to be more straightforward about the kind of things that Panda's hitting. I don't see how black hats or spammers, which they're not even doing a good job of fighting even with the link shit, but I don't see how being more transparent with that is going to cause them any more grief.
For
You
instance,
know.
if they decided, Mikhail, that you should have at least 40% above the fold contextual content, and that here are the things that are considered non-content, and identified that and say if you are at least 40%, you're golden. That would not hurt them a bit, and it would
Right.
allow a lot of people to engineer their site so that they were in conformance with that standard. But instead, they make it a very cloudy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tag pages like this with little or no content could be an issue. Blah 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 blah. Give us some examples, like Doc said. Tell us, because this isn't black hat. This is just page quality stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, but they're scared.
So
Okay, they're scared. They make
I'm
last
scared
10
of
years.
what though? I don't know, man. I don't see it. That kind of
They're
stuff.
scared
I can't
of
be fucking worried about.
they're
Certainly,
scared of making again a big mistake like they did several times in the past.
some things that they should not disclose because it would simply make abuse more prevalent. I agree, but some things they can expose 100% and not increase. In fact, actually, would decrease the risk of abuse.
No, I mean, we can get a
agree
sticker, Doc. We can get a stick a fork in a post about guest posting, but we can't get something telling us if these in contact stats are a problem.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I agree with you that they should have a more positive attitude toward the SEO and work together instead of vilifying us and stuff like that, like they tend to do. And that would make more sense and all, but I think the reason why they do that is because they did make several mistakes in the past, and then so they got scared, and so they try to keep everything a secret.
That could certainly be a part of it. I would agree. I don't think it's a sensible approach from their standpoint, but I could understand why it would be, if they've stepped in it a couple times, why they would be leery. But I think there's so many areas that they could be transparent on that would further their cause and ours.
True, I agree, but they don't have to.
Okay, so Dan, you want to get your head around the whole proactive preventative stuff, right?
All right, this is going to be a big test with the mic here.
No, Darth Vader's gone. You sound fine.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
Although you do have kind of a zombie look about you, that you're a little bit overlit.
So as you've been gathering up to this point, a large amount of it is really staying on top of the evolution of Google, how things are changing, what's been going on. We used to call it future proofing. So being preventative is more about trying to adapt ahead of time. You know what I mean? Forget people that were doing guest blogging, let's say. I wrote about who should watch for this shit in late 2011. I wrote about it in 2012. You know what I mean? I was talking about it on Search Engine Watch and places like that years before Matt ever wrote his fucking infamous stick a fork in it stuff. You got to have your head on straight to be ahead of the bell curve, to be thinking towards these things. So you're being preventative on a level of understanding what can go wrong, what possibly might go wrong. Maybe it's a site relaunch. You know what I mean? You're being preventative towards potential forensic issues by advising the client. Okay, these kind of things probably aren't going to be a good idea. This might not help. That might not help. You're almost kind of trying to stay ahead of things.
I don't want to stymie the conversation by getting hung up on semantics, but I guess I was under the impression more that forensics is a methodology of detection.
Again,
figure something out, be it
forensics is actually after the fact. Yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? We're looking at the dead or dying body after the fact in most cases. But even at that, something proactive you can do as far as we talked about off the top is when I go into a situation, basically, unless it happened within the last month or 90 days, I am limited in data sets to basic Google Analytics. You know what I mean? In almost 100% of the cases. So, we used to advise clients, and I've actually now put a service on my website for this. I'm literally collecting every month your crawl data, your fucking indexation levels, query data and things like that, because you can't even go back in the Webmaster Tools, even if you got it hooked up to G8, you can't go back more than 90 days.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can't. You need to be able to compare the past before you got hurt to after you got hurt. But if you don't have that data, you're screwed. It's like someone said the other day, I don't know if it was Doc or whoever, but we were talking about this the other day in a private chat, and I said it's like being a doctor that your patient can't really tell you anything and has no history. So I think it was Doc said, yeah, Doc said it's like being a veterinarian. And I was like, that's almost the perfect analogy, because the dog can't tell me what's wrong. Like, all right, dog, where does it hurt? And he's got nothing to say. So you almost need to be tracking that kind of stuff on a historic basis so that in case something ever goes wrong, you have that. Like the ones I'm on now, I'm like, okay, can you guys give me a history of developer change logs? And most cases you got little to nothing. Most of these ones recently I've got maybe, we changed, I got a list from 2014. But if I crawl back and I see stuff that was happening to them in 2012 or 2013 or 2011, how do I know that this is something that Google did or if this was something the web development team did? I don't, because nobody there was keeping fucking records. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anytime the SEO team changes... Sorry.
Like that relaunch you just showed us, David, if you had not been told that they had just relaunched, that would have been a real showstopper for you.
Right, yeah. So I in an ideal world, Dan, I'd like to have records of every SEO change made on site for the last 4 years. I'd like to have a change log of every development change. I mean everything. Like, I've seen where their servers updated their PHP MySQL and it starts spitting back 500 errors, meaning the page actually displays so nobody noticed anything was wrong, but the response code is a 500, meaning Google's not fucking paying attention to that. So, but you have nothing to work with because you have none of this data or information. You really work and have 3/4 in the dark with this kind of stuff. So, to me, that's being proactive and preventative in the sense that you keeping that in case something happens someday. Because just because you're getting lots of Google traffic today doesn't mean something won't change, a year from now. And if that happens, can I go back and look at this data? No, Webmaster Tools doesn't give me that. I have no idea. Like, the crawl fucking rate changed. Like, I was showing that crawl data earlier, Doc, and it showed that big spike, when Buddy relaunched the site. Now, if Buddy comes to me 3 months from now, I can't even find that data. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. So unless you're taking snapshots of key elements that somebody doing forensics would need, if you're not keeping those snapshots on an ongoing basis, you got nothing, man.
Hey, David, have you ever compared anything from Bing Webmaster Tools to what you're seeing in Google for this client?
Yeah, actually, yeah. He has Bing as well, and it's relative. You know what I mean? But again, Bing's a bit of a bitch because we just don't, God love Google. At least they tell us about what they're doing. Bing's a bit of a black hole as far as updates and changes they made. One of them has a bit of a Bing problem, so I know Dwayne Forrester, so at least I can go to Dwayne and say, Dwayne, dude, can I borrow you for like an hour?
Well, I'm just, is the Bing data at all help with corroboration?
No, because what Google is seeing is what I want to know about when it's the Google problem. You know what I mean? How, you can cross-reference some stuff if you're finding anomalies in 404s or other types of errors. You can cross-reference the data and hopefully find some things, but at the end of the day, if I've got a Google problem, not a Bing problem, I really don't care what Bing saw, did, what their bots did, where they went. It's not really relative to a large degree. So. And proactive stuff, Dan, is kind of like a proactive disavow. I was talking to Matt about it last summer maybe, and I said, should I be advising clients and other SEOs, because in the dojo community, I said, should I be advising them to be proactively disavowing stuff? Meaning, every month check for crap, fucking throw in update your disavow. And he said, yeah, sure, that won't potentially keep someone from getting a manual penalty, but if they do, that Google would see a history of vigilance, I guess.
Track record.
You know what I mean? Right, exactly, yeah. They'd see a track record. And he said, yeah, that is something that you should probably be advising people to do and so that's the kind of stuff I lump into the proactive department, staying ahead of things.
What I find really interesting about that response, David, is the first part, that may not necessarily keep them from getting penalized. That makes me wonder how aging...
Because it just trips a filter, you know what I mean? It's automatic. They don't literally have people going, oh, this looks bad, let's send out a fucking manual link penalty. No, it's just tripping it, right? So,
no, I understand they're hitting the threshold. I understand they're hitting the threshold, but I'm just saying at what, how aged is that database that they're determining that threshold has been hit? Let's say if they're determining that I've passed the threshold in January and penalizing me in June, but in February I removed those links, and now I got a little bit of a problem with that. But if I'm removing them in February and they're penalizing me in late February, early March, well, okay, you got to be reasonable. They can't go recrawl the whole damn web before they run this thing.
Right.
It makes me wonder.
Yeah.
The fact that would be the first part of his response, it kind of raises my curiosity.
I get lots of responses that I don't like.
Yeah,
like that negative SEO one. we're aware of the situation and monitoring it, or whatever it was. It was like, oh, okay. Yeah, all right, thanks. That's not the answer I was looking for. I was looking for, yes, our algorithm's got that, and it's nothing to be worried about. Nope, that was not the answer.
Not the one I was looking for.
Yeah, that's not the answer I'm looking for, Dan. So, yeah. And that's, I mean, again, even for negative SEO stuff, Dan, if you're not watching for it, if you're not watching it and monitoring for it, it'll bite you in the ass. So again, being proactive, what I mean, you want to be ahead of things before they happen, as opposed to picking up the pieces later. So.
All right, so a couple quick questions, like on specifics. You had started out with proactive SEO in terms of tracking Google Webmaster tool data, because it only goes back 90 days or what have you. So
some of it's 30 days, some of it's 90, but nothing goes past 90.
Right. So like I've done that with search queries and links, but it sounds like I'm missing a big
indexation, crawl data, those are always big. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? A history of 404s and crawl errors, things of that nature. Yeah. Let me pull up Webmaster Tools. But there's just a million things you could probably watch.
That's the problem too with the snapshots you're talking about grabbing, Dave. Is you'd have to grab many snapshots. Since you don't have the ability, you can't pull it as a database and be able to click through and drill down on those things. You'd have to pull an awful lot of snapshots every time you did it.
Yeah, but it's pretty quick because you're just exporting it, right? You just
download the chart data.
And Bob's your uncle, you're done. Zip it all up, throw a date on it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you're done. Like search queries, again, same thing. No historic stuff. Internal links, I'd probably grab that stuff. Indexation, and you know what I mean, grab that stuff. Crawl errors, crawl stats, definitely grabbing that stuff.
And you can do some stuff with pivot tables.
See, when it comes down to Webmaster, I don't trust it at all. They only show a fragment, especially with the internal links. They expect you to disavow, but they don't give you the links. They give you like what? Not even 1/3 of the list they got.
Well, it depends how big the site is.
Yeah, it depends on the site.
Yeah, I've got a guy that with 1.6 million links, and that comes from about 25,000 domains. Google only shows you 1,000 domains, so basically I've got 1/25 of the data that I need. So yeah, it's kind of useless.
Now my stuff's local, so I don't really have issues with being that
large.
Yeah, not working with e-commerce.
Usually I can see a good portion of it, but a large site, definitely a problem. Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I mean. So I like snapshots, man. Like, and it's funny. Again, doing what I do, when I explain this to clients, they're like, "Yes, let's start doing that." But it's always after the case. It's too fucking late, Like, I want developer change logs every time you're paying that fucking developer. Good. I want a spreadsheet of all the changes he makes every goddamn week. Give me those. So that yeah, I know. But yeah, and all of that stuff is paramount to trying to sort a problem out, because rarely is it one thing. You know what I mean? Usually it's a bunch of different things that can happen. Look at the guy, Doc, that we were looking at earlier that did his site relaunch 3 weeks after Panda. Imagine if he'd done it right on around the date of Panda.
That would have been a little bit misleading, huh?
You think? Yeah. And if you didn't have that knowledge of what changes were made, you'd be going, "Oh, this guy got hit by Panda." Meanwhile, it wasn't. Right? So without the full picture, you're kind of screwed, right? So.
Yeah, my client a year ago by now thought it was a good idea to put a full copy of the website on a Chinese website. Yeah.
Yeah.
Took me 6 months to figure that out, and that was the owner of the site who basically gave some franchisee in China permission to do so. And yeah, he suffered from that 6 months really bad. And we got a manual penalty for that, actually. That's when I started digging around, and yeah, and that's when I figured it. It was basically my client himself screwing himself.
I think Steve had a great example, I think, of content propagation, let's call it, with all the affiliate stuff that you were going through with those guys. You know what I mean?
You know, client had a great product, and his affiliates just started iframing the shit out of him. And we had one affiliate that had 5 separate pages for 5 separate products on no less than 200 domains. So that's 1,000 copies of our landing page.
Oh. Yeah,
and they couldn't figure out why Google penalized him.
You gotta love it.
Because not only did they when they iframed it, it took the Google Analytics code.
So you get multiple accounts data coming from all these different accounts and all these thousands of different landing pages that were out there.
We finally had to get ClickBank to actually cancel that guy's account because he absolutely refused to talk to us. Every time we talked to him about putting him down, he goes, "Why should I? I'm making money." You're not anymore.
There you go.
So, Steve, can you talk about what sort of mechanisms did you put in place or use to monitor, to try to catch something like that as early as possible?
Warnings from Google. No. We've got one kid on staff that works full time, and his job is to go through all kinds. He manually checks every single one of our affiliates. We do get a little bit of tracking on some of the stuff we're doing now with where they're coming from by IP address, so he backchecks and just to make sure they're decent pages. The other issue we had was a lot of people were registering domain names and signing up for AdWords accounts and then doing a 302 to the landing page with their affiliate code in the redirect. So it looked to AdWords like we were sending, tons of traffic to, 60 or 70 different domain names that didn't actually exist, which is again a violation of Google's AdWords terms of service. So we lost our AdWords account through nothing that we did. But as far as keeping up on it, it's just watching Webmaster Tools. What is the SEM Rush? I believe that's what it is. The one that shows you the how many websites are using a specific analytics code.
Oh, there's Spy On. There's a few that do that.
Yeah, Spy on Web's the one I use.
Yeah, Spy on Web.
So
I think Spy Food does it as well.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people you catch scraping your shit with that, simply because they don't even bother to remove the analytics code. It's amazing.
Well, that would be another then potentially proactive thing, is to embed some code like that that's even trickier to find, doesn't stick out as much as Google Analytics script, right? To put in your own stuff.
One of the things we did, and this is, we put a PHP script in a couple of our pages as almost like honeypots, that if the page loaded not from a specific URL that was in that PHP script, it would fire off an email tell us the IP address and all kinds of other shit, and then redirect to a page on our website that says something to the effect of, this is not an authorized site or an authorized dealer. If you wanted to see the actual product or whatever, come here, and we blow away all their cookies so the affiliate doesn't get any credit for it. It's just an awful lot of pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Where before we were able to ignore it because there was no, I shouldn't say there was no negative side to it, but you didn't get punished for it.
Yeah, it wasn't straight to the nuclear option of punishment.
Right. It used to be, if a guy wants to go ahead and copy our landing page and make some sales, we all make money. Okay. Well, now they can't do that. They have to build their own websites, their own landing pages. Even with no index, that's not enough to keep them legal anymore. It's just frustrating.
Strike one equals death penalty.
Yeah. You know what you did wrong. No, I don't. Just ask my wife. I'm clueless.
She'd be the first to attest, eh?
Exactly. And now that Google does have this nuclear option, I really think that a warning is almost an obligation.
Yeah, like a cease and desist letter.
Yeah, it's like, okay, instead of saying, hey, you're fucked, they go, hey, you got to clean this up or in 2 weeks you're going to be fucked.
There you go. That would make a lot more sense.
That would make a whole lot more sense. That would at least give you an opportunity to make an effort.
No, but that would give the spammers too much information, Steve, because we know this is all about the spammers, right?
and then you look at guys like this restaurant that's suing Google right now because basically the restaurant went out of business because somebody created a Google Places page or took over their Google Places page that they never created.
Yeah, and he put the wrong business hours or whatever it was.
Yeah, it gave they gave fake business hours, but then they also said the business is closed. So people would do a search on Google and say, "Oh, it's closed." Damn. And when the owners finally figure it out, they're like, "We don't have a website. We've never been on the internet. Why are you telling people we're closed?" There's definitely some obligation on their end.
Well, that's interesting. I would like to know what the end of the court decision is there, right?
Yeah. It's one thing if they had created the Places page and they were managing it, that would be one thing. But when it's an auto-generated page that somebody grabbed control of, or even you don't even have to grab control of them if enough people say this business is closed. Google will just assume it's closed. Guess how we know this? We've actually managed to get some retail locations listed as closed in Google Maps just by having enough people go, this doesn't exist anymore.
Or how about when you're talking about not existing or closed hours? I had a law firm, and they recently had a new partner, and the partner owned a pizza joint, and they decided to use the pizza joint's address as another location for their firm,
right?
So that they could get into the local, and then they had clients calling up the firm complaining because they showed up at a pizza shop.
That's a brilliant fucking idea there.
Yeah. Well, they got what they deserved.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm looking for a lawyer. You want the extra large with some pepperoni with that?
And of course they're asking me, we were ranking really well in this area, and now we're not. What's going on? Da, 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 da. And then I had to look through all the data and everything, and then I kind of just by tracking everything finally figured out, wait a minute. Actually, I went on Google Maps and just put on the Street View, and I'm looking at the address, and I'm like, this is pizza on it.
Thin crust.
The other group that I think has there's a couple of groups that I think have legitimate complaints against Google. Real estate agents, doctors in medical centers, or medical centers. Basically anywhere where you have a group of professionals who group together under a single address
Sure.
to share resources. All of these people get screwed because there's no option for them to get a listing because they all share the same address. It's whoever gets to it first wins.
It's not actually the case, but it's mostly the case.
Yeah, and just B, A, B, C. I mean, they're not gonna physically check whether or not you get 20 mailboxes against your wall.
Well,
Yeah,
but they do have data sources that they can check to see the legitimacy. I mean, you can't really get away with doing a UPS store or virtual
Well,
office.
the yellow page.
But at the same time, it's not a consistent thing. Again, it's where you have to decide, how am I going to advise the client? I can't do anything about it. Seems to be working for your competitor, right? That's I can't do anything about that. We've had the same situation with people, professionals, or with lawyers. One particular law firm, because they had a nice big office space, were renting out offices to other people who had complimentary services. Well, unfortunately, for everybody else who was located at that building, they were never going to do very well because the law firm was so well established with precedent and everything else. Yeah, and plus, Google's grabbing that data from all kinds of sources. Phone providers, not just the stuff that you know about, but public government documents.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of that comes back to programmer mentality of only being able to associate one key with one entity. Addresses are unique. Therefore, you can only have one per entity. And that's a failing on the programming side. What do you do when you've got, when you're in a major city, when you have major office complexes where you've got 22 floors and 20 different businesses on each floor?
Well,
that'll
then
work out.
mail
Steven
gets
Steiner
distributed,
shows up.
right? I mean, people do manage to get their mail, right?
They do, but Google doesn't deal well with suite numbers.
But addresses and local, it is a problem. I got a website with 10 different companies on there, and all the troubles we had. Basically, what I needed to do is to go to Google View and take a picture, screenshot from that, and put that into the local listing extra to go like, look, this is from you, this is the business. And that seemed to help. I mean, once I've started to do that, we got them all approved. But that was an issue. We tried again and again, and took quite a long time to get the bloody postcard. But from what I hear, these days you can do it directly via Webmaster, right?
For some.
I didn't need to use it recently, but that's also very limited because you have to be the owner of the Webmaster account, right? I can't do it for somebody else.
Right.
So, look, there is a lot of silly stuff in Google, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and we can't forget that. Look at all the people who benefit from Google who would never have benefited in the first place.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. Here's what it is. Most of you are old enough to know this. Some things are just hard and difficult, and there's no fixing it. Life is complicated. Business is even more complicated. For every one person you can find that really got screwed by Google, there were probably 10 that got helped who didn't deserve it.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean? I think we had this conversation in the room or somewhere recently that so many people are complaining that the brands have all this power and that, those utopian days of the early 2000s, the late 90s, where, the internet was a level playing field, they're gone. You know what I mean? I joked with someone, what are you going to do? Like, call up Fox and say, give me a break on Super Bowl ad prices because I'm a small business. Like, let me advertise in the Super Bowl for like, $10K and charge everyone else $2 million. Big brands are going to have more visibility offline or online these days. It's a reality. You've got to learn to attack things laterally, marketing-wise, instead of going head-to-head with the big boys. You've got to attack them laterally. Art of war SEO style, right? So.
Well, that's what one of my clients did by basically starting franchises, simply similar businesses, but far enough so they are not competition. And now we got 10 people on one website. And that way, because we put 10 budgets together, we dominate.
That's the way you have to. And that's what you have to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get a spot in a mall or something in the brick and mortar world. Some of what you're paying into to the management company is being used for marketing that mall. Again, like you're saying, you're pooling your marketing resources of your tenants to get bigger visibility. So, welcome to business. That's called business, folks. Hello.
Well, and it's appropriate, for us to do what we're doing, right? To demand that Google do better, to try to advocate for clients, all along having the perspective that says, some of this, the market and businesses will get savvier. The market will shake things out over time, maybe not in our lifetime, but it will shake things out over time. And some things can't be helped. I mean, geography changes things for businesses. Who do you bitch to about that, right? I mean, this is just but that doesn't mean we shouldn't demand that Google do better. It's all of these things. The maturity says you just can't have a simplistic view about this stuff, and business owners need to wise up, and attorneys need to quit trying to look for easy way outs or expect they can get sophisticated help and fixes for $200 a month. You know what? They deserve what they get.
Yeah.
Right. I love those clients. So what's your budget? $200 a month?
Right.
Go get some flyers printed up. Start throwing them around your neighborhood because you're not competing on the internet with that, my friend.
Yeah, so we all want to get paid a commensurate value, but paid according to value. And at the same time, we demand from people in our own industry and our peers that they not extort people. It's still going to happen, but we demand, we expect that they don't. We complain when they do.
I think you have every opportunity to compete with some larger entities. I've worked with some fairly large ones. I've had people come to me when the annual budget was going down. Hey Dave, can you get rid of 20 grand for me? I'm like, sure. I might write up a report for you. Because I know nobody's going to be reading it, but they're not nimble. They throw away money at times, and I think there's still the opportunity to compete if you're nimble, if you attack laterally, if you do it wisely. For sure, man. You can still compete. They throw away money like it's fucking crazy.
Well, and as things become much more hyper-local and app-based, it's just going to make it even more. It's going to level the playing field to some degree, at least for a lot of people. Brands are still going to have huge power, but it sure seems that the trajectory that Google is on is to make things as personal as possible. So.
I wanted to bring something up earlier. After the first pandas came out, and people were complaining that, or they come to me because they lost the rankings with the other company. I always told them, like, look, how you need to see it is that before you were just getting way too much, right? First,
right.
you were getting way. I'm serious. You in the beginning you ordered for sometimes even just a couple of $100, and bang, you're on top, and you're making thousands, right? So I don't know. It's just a game to me, And and how I see it is that we are winning. That's why Matt Cutts came out so angry and frustrated with these guest blog posts. That's what. You're frustrated because despite all those years, they still don't really fully control it. So.
By the way, Steve, do you recognize or remember Michael here? Oh, okay. I was gonna say he was back with us in the day, man.
Yeah, we're the one that's heading down this evil path.
Yeah, back at what? Jesus, buddy, I've known you since like '06, I think, man, or slightly just a little after I met Steve, but yeah.
I don't want to do all these directory submissions. Let's pay him to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's him. That's our man.
I was in the perfect. I was in Thailand, right?
Yeah.
And copy paste. That's what it is. Robo form. Click.
Yep.
Check the category. Next. I had one person do about 500 manual.
Good old Robo form.
Yeah.
Yep. Know it well, man.
Way back when at SEO shop, I remember that.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
it.
Web workshop. I own a lot to Phil.
Yeah.
He gave me like my
Did
own
Phil
little.
ever come back from virtual reality, or did he just like I don't know.
No, Phil vanished. He took
Never
off.
heard of him again.
He's done. He was having way too much fun in the virtual world, making too much easy money.
Yeah. What was the name of that? What was that site?
Infinity? No. Afterlife. Yeah.
Afterlife. Okay.
Second Life. Second Life.
Second Life. That's what it was. Yeah, I remember.
And he figured out if you, and he was doing the same thing. He figured out if you just sell like the basic components, and then you create a couple of fake people in front of your shop. Yeah, he was still the same guy.
That was funny, man. So, I don't know, one of the best, most fun I ever had doing a podcast was having Rand and Aaron Wall together. I have now decided that I have to get Chris Boggs and Bill Slosky in a room together. Have you seen any of that, Steve?
Not much. I saw a little piece of it. But...
All right, just go by Bill's Twitter account, man. Oh my God, those two have been going at it. Yeah, apparently Bill would like Sempo to show him what they've done for the industry. No response as of yet.
Yeah, well, that's a fair question.
Yep.
Hey,
course,
David, have you, Terry, given any thought to, what if you guys published kind of a dynamic list of proactive disavow to say, if you don't know what else to do, disavow these 100 domains. So that's 110 next month.
No, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Who was it, Terry? What was those motherfuckers that were doing that?
Nobody gets sued.
Who was it, Terry? I forget the name. It was Branded 3 or whatever, was it, Terry? That's the name of the outfit. Yeah. Branded 3 was literally selling a list. I don't know, it was like $1,000 or something, wasn't it, Terry? It was a fairly... Yeah. They were selling a list of like a pre-made list of disavow stuff. And Terry jumped at the time. He was like, yeah, because these are all the places I used to drop links a year ago. Now they're just selling their link building list as a proactive disavow.
Yeah, they were just selling their submission list.
You can exactly. You can buy this shit list on this page, or you can buy links from our other same shit list on this other page.
Yeah. But no, yeah, again, I still prefer to go through things properly, you know what I mean? But, there are stuff like, it sounds stupid that Blogspot being such a big place, but, 99% of the time you see something from Blogspot, it's a pile of crap. So, I'll throw that in the disavow most times. Anything with a .cn on it, that's going in there. There are certain things that are kind of standard issue with a disavow, but no, I would never really have a pre-made list. I don't, it doesn't make much sense.
Could you disavow a whole TLD?
Nope.
Oh yeah, a TLD? No, I don't think so.
Well, Google did.
That would be handy.
Google disavowed. What was it? .cc.
.cc, yeah.
I said, if you've got a website hosted here,
forget about it.
Oh God.
What was CC for? What country is that, Steve?
I don't remember.
No
but you
idea.
can get a free website.
Oh,
All right, well, I'm going to close down the public portion of this, folks. If you're still hanging around on the outside, there's a link on the show page. You can come in, and this is where we'll be talking nasty shit about people behind their back, so you don't want to miss it.
We're talking about you, not to you.
Yeah. Come on in, Rand. We miss you. Where are you, buddy?
yeah.
Don't think that's going to happen.
Get my kick.